Welcome to the first episode of the 2022-2023 Tomahawk Sports Talk, where we'll talk about girls tennis, cross country,
girls golf, volleyball, and boys soccer,
softball, and football. All this and more after this break.
Come to Toscano's to get your pizza customized the way you want, served to you right from our wood fire stove. Let Renee and John treat you to a taste of Little Italy, located at 312 South Hudson Street, Buckner, Missouri.
Welcome back. I'm Ashton Bunton.
I'm Ethan Lamb.
And I'm Christian Pinman.
Our first team we're going to talk about is girls tennis, coached by Jordan Groves. Their season record was 5-8. Christian, you want to give us some stats on them?
Yeah, they had a few tough wins over Excelsior Springs, where they went 5-4, and Winnetonka when they went 5-4. And they had 3 more wins where they had some shutouts. And a key player for the tennis team was Julia Green, where she went 8-4, and some of her matches, she went 8-0 against Ruskin, and she went 6-0 against Winnetonka. So that's pretty good to shut out your opponent, especially in tennis, because you never know what's going to happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. She had the highest winning percentage on the team, winning 66.7% of the time. So she's winning over half of her matches, so that's really good. Ethan, you have anything?
Dalia Spidel, I mean, she's been doing great this season. I actually have a class with her, and her and Groves actually talk about when a match is coming up, what their key moments are. She did pretty good this season. I mean, her best match was 8-1 against Grandview and Ruskin, and she went 6-5 on the season. Not bad for her being a junior. I mean, you can see what she can bring next year.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool how the juniors, how they are juniors and they're producing for the team. So next year they could have a really good team next year to help.
Our next team we're going to talk about is cross country. Ethan?
Well, first off, they're coached by Coach Chris Early, who was this is going to be his final season coaching this year. He's retiring, but what a way to go off. I mean, the Independent City Championships, both boys and girls got first place, with up-and-coming sophomore Jordan Jameis in first place and senior Austin Sampson getting second. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better record right there. And then with the girls, they also got first, with junior Riley Fillmore getting second and senior Paige Franks getting third. So that's a pretty great way to start off the season.
The sophomore Jordan Jameis and senior Austin Sampson, normally throughout football practice when we had it, they just run the track every day throughout the cold, the rain. So it takes a lot to get prepared for cross country. So I think that's good that they can push themselves to be the best version of them.
Speaking of Jordan Jameis, he's just a sophomore, and he's already placing first in some of their matches, so he still has 2 years left to get even better, along with sophomore Avery Van Winkle, who's also been placing in some of their matches as well. So they both just have a bunch of time to build and become even better runners than they already are.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we'll be back with more information after this quick break.
Craig Culver once said, "A customer knows good value when they taste it." And that statement holds true when tasting Culver's delicious Wisconsin cheese curds. Come in or carry out and let Culver's welcome you to deliciousness.
Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about girls golf. Christian, you want to get us started with this topic?
Yeah, so we have the golf sensation Ashlyn Bunton here. Her best finish was in the Class 4 District 4 tournament, and she got 111th as her shooting 111. And she's all conference 4 years. You want to talk about that and how your teammates were this season?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't my best year this past year, but I'd say my teammates all had a good year. Senior Alana Hare, she finished shooting a 106 in the District 4 tourney, and then junior Emma Crow and sophomore McKenna Gilpin, she did really good too. She got 8th in the conference tournament, and they both have a lot of time left just to become even better players. We had a lot of young players and a lot more than we have in the past, so I think they're going to have a good future and a good season coming up here.
Like you mentioned earlier, McKenna Gilpin, I mean, she's an up-and-coming sophomore. I mean, just looking at this here, she placed 8th in the Greater Kansas City Suburban Conference Red Division Invite, placing 8th. With shooting 112, and her best finish was at the Independence Invite with 110. And I mean, that's really great for a sophomore there. I mean, who only knows what she can bring up in the next few seasons.
Yeah, exactly. Our next sport is going to be volleyball, who had a season record of 9-18-2. Some really good wins for them were over Excelsior Springs and Raytown, but they lost in the Class 5 district tournament to Blue Springs, which is a really strong team. Christian, you want to give some stats on volleyball?
Yeah, we had 5 seniors this year for volleyball, and the one that really struck out to me was Avery Gray, which I'll talk about a little bit later. She had 13 kills, 48 aces, and 342 assists, and it seems like she was just all around the court getting all those assists for her teammates so that her team could be successful.
Yeah, playing setter is probably one of the most hardest positions in volleyball. I think Avery did a really good job at that.
We have 5 seniors here: Josie Miller, Avery Gray, Peyton Gray, and Ray Shockley. Everybody knows him. But one person I want to focus on right here is freshman Laniva Faitu. She had 89 kills on the season, 22 blocks, 27 digs, and 11 assists. For a freshman, and she started varsity. This is her first year, and she started varsity. That's insane. People know how good she is at volleyball. She plays club volleyball, and she mentions it a lot to us. And so I can't wait to see what I hear when she brings in her next few seasons.
Yeah, some more few young athletes that we have on the volleyball team is junior Peyton Ramirez, junior Naomi Bernard, and junior Nikki Snyder. They all had pretty good season this year, so hopefully they can carry on to next year so that the volleyball team can be even better.
Yeah, one player you guys forgot to mention was sophomore Epi Salmasina, who had an amazing season also with 217 kills, and she still has 2 more years left to become even better.
She also had 213 digs as well, so she had a pretty standout season this year as a sophomore.
And we'll be right back with more information about sports after this quick break.
Advance Auto Parts offers top quality automotive parts and is where you will find quality CarQuest parts. Take advantage of their free wiper blade installation. Visit the 4 Independence locations. Open 7:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about boys soccer, which had a really successful season. Ethan, you want to talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, this is one of the best seasons we had seen in a while, having the team record at 11-8 with a 57.89 winning percentage, and to take it back to last year where they were 10-11 last year, so that's getting gradually better over the year. The best I can think about was their best senior forward, Lucas Smith, with 12 goals and 4 assists. That dude was a menace on that field.
Yeah, he was, and it's pretty cool to see that they're 11-8, especially after the 2019 season where they went 3-18. So
yikes.
Looks like Coach Hinckley got them turned around a little bit, and hopefully they can just keep getting better going forward. And one person I really want to talk about is the junior middle, Mateo Castillo. He had 5 goals, and he was also tied on the team with 7 assists with the senior Brody Hendricks. So being a junior and having leading the team in something is pretty good. So hopefully he can carry on next year for that.
Yeah. Senior goalkeeper Reese Rippey, even though he had 1 goal and 5 shutouts, he had 103 saves, which is way better than what he had last year when he only allowed 29 goals this year compared to 49 last year. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I got to broadcast their conference championship game against Oak Park, and it was such a good game. They lost by 1 in overtime, and I just really got to see how good they played there. And even competing for the conference championship is huge, so I think they should be proud of how they did, and they had a really good season. Now we're going to talk about softball, which also had a really successful season. Christian, you want to talk about them?
Yeah, I want to talk about Sydney Sullivan in center field, and she had 19 RBIs. She had bases stolen. She had 5, so looks like she could do a lot of stuff offensively and defensively for the softball team, which is pretty good. And she's only a junior, so.
Yeah, like we said earlier, softball had a great season this year with her setting the school record with 21-9 on the season. And some key games here I'd just like to mention. They had they played against on September 17th. They played against William Chrisman, and they destroyed them 20-1, which is huge for our softball team. But some key players I can mention are senior Anna Morton, this being her last year, with batting .271 on the season with 4 home runs and 16 RBIs. But what she's most notably known for is her pitching with 84 strikeouts, 23 were looking, and she had a 3 ERA. So that's a great way to end off your senior season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're conference champs. They had a really good season. I'd also like to mention senior Alexis Smith. She had a really good season as well, and she's actually going to college to play softball, so that's huge. But I feel like they have a lot of upcoming like juniors and sophomores, so I feel like they'll still be pretty good next year, and I think that they have a good chance of maybe doing the same thing they did this year next year.
Yeah, and they also had 7 first-team conference players in Izzy Cobb, Anna Morton, Araya Morton, Haley Miller, Kinley Renicky, Nevaeh Wilson, and Sydney Sullivan being first team, and then Lily Waite, Allison Ship, and Michaela Stickler being second team. So they had all-around good team, and they're pretty young, but with only having 2 seniors, so hopefully they can carry on next year.
Yeah, and even they had some all-district players as well, like Izzy Cobb, Anna Morton, Araya Morton, Haley Miller, Kinley Renicky, and Nevaeh Wilson all got all-district as well.
I mean, they deserve it. Just to note, Izzy Cobb showing off. She might be a team leader. I could see her being a team leader next year because she had, looking at her stats, her batting average was .570, and that's huge, with 29 RBIs. And, I mean, she's bound to be, like, a great hitter next year if that's the stat she's putting up. So I'd just like to mention that.
So now we get to talk about something that had a really amazing season, which is football. Christian, you play football, so you want to tell us why you guys are so successful this year?
Yeah, we had a team record of 11-3. We were conference champs and we were district champs, and we had a lot of key players this season throughout the football team, and I just feel like that's what drove us to be pretty successful this season and being state runner-ups.
I mean, last year you guys had a pretty amazing season as well, being 1 game away from state, and then this year you actually did the thing, you made it to state, so that's pretty amazing. Ethan, you want to get us some stats here?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, this year was phenomenal and better than last year's, even though last year's was pretty great too. But that's compared to the last 2 years before that. In 2020, our football team went 3-7 and 6-5, which is not what they really hoped for. But I mean, that's a huge step up from those years. So it's glad to see you guys come out on top and just strive for greatness. But like you said, it's some stats we have here. They only overall, you guys allowed 5,269 or had 5,269 yards, 107. That's 170.7 passing yards per game and 205 rushing yards per game, and you guys averaged about 36 points a game, which is great. You guys only allowed 4,072 yards and only allowed 21.4 points per game.
Yeah, and without that, our sophomore sensation, Anthony Thompson, having 4 sacks, 158 tackles, 1 interception, and 2 defensive touchdowns, it wouldn't have happened because being really young and playing linebacker is really hard, and he stepped in and he took the role, and I think that's what helped us make our team successful this season.
Yeah, it was a big. Another one I mentioned was River Peppers, another sophomore who was the man this year. That dude absolutely killed it on the field, having a total of 1,634 yards with 251 carries, 21 touchdowns, 480 receiving yards, and 7 touchdowns on receiving. So that's just insane, dude. He was a menace out on the field.
Yeah. Speaking of River Peppers, here are some of the football players that actually received All-State honors. River Peppers, he got 2nd team All-State. Gregory Minnie got 2nd team All-State. Lorenzo Finner, Gregory Olberg, Anthony Thompson, Roman Tillman got 1st team All-State, and then Brock Branstetter, he got 2nd team All-State as well. So that's a lot of players to be All-State.
Yeah, and also going back to talking about Roman Tillman, he was a safety, and he had 146 tackles, and that's crazy, especially coming from the safety position. You normally don't get that many tackles playing that, and he had 4 interceptions, 2 defensive touchdowns, and 3 fumble recoveries, so he was all over the field for us, and I think he was a big key to our successful season.
I believe I saw it. It was during the semifinals game when you guys played against Cape Girardeau, and he had that. He intercepted
a key pick
key
six?
pick six.
For
Yeah,
sure.
that was huge.
Yeah.
That was insane to see. I mean, that proved right there that why he was meant for that position right there.
Yeah, he's also a great athlete all around. We were using him on the offensive side for some things as well if we needed him. So he was capable of stepping in at any position that he needed to. So that's good.
After this break, we'll have our players of the season.
Head on down to campus grounds with your friends to enjoy some cozy coffee and a breakfast burrito or grilled cheese. They're open Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. through 5 p.m. and Saturday, 7 a.m. through 2 p.m. Campus grounds is located at 26 to 911 East US 24 Highway, Buckner, Missouri.
Welcome back. Now, Christian, you want to tell us your top picks from this season?
Yeah, my top picks are 2 senior studs. We got my first senior athlete is senior goalkeeper Reese Rippey. He had 1 goal on the season, which is pretty good as a goalkeeper. He had 5 shutouts, like the one where against Oak Park. It's not really a shutout, but he blocked the defender's ball like multiple times so that the score could be 1-0 in overtime. He had 103 saves, and he only allowed 29 goals compared to 49 in 2021. And then my second senior athlete is Avery Gray. She had 13 kills, 48 aces, and 342 assists. And my clip, but my highlight for her throughout the season was when she played Odessa, and she had a lot of assists for the team. They weren't really doing anything good until she got the ball in her hands and she was able to set it up for her teammates to get a kill or something.
Yeah, those are some amazing athletes. Ethan, you want to tell us yours?
Yeah, my athletes for the fall season, I got to start off with Anna Morton, like we mentioned earlier. She's an absolute menace. I mean, you can see like this clip here. She can just throws it right down the pipe, can hit a nice little curveball in there, and I mean, that's why she gets picked for most of pitching when she's up to, when they call her up. I mean, she was out for a while, but like right here, she had 84 strikeouts with 23 looking, so that's amazing. And end the season off with a 3 ERA, that's phenomenal. And then for my male athlete, I picked QB1 Greg Minnie. I mean, way to go off again for your final season, going with 1,673 yards. His best game, in my opinion, was the Cape Girardeau game, like we mentioned earlier. As you can see here, he just absolutely, he whenever he found someone, he just threw a dime right to River Peppers or whoever was wide open. I mean, he really did make a name for himself to end off, and I can't wait to see what he brings when he goes to SEMO.
My picks for this season, first off, I picked junior Izzy Cobb. Like we said earlier, she had a batting average of .570. I mean, that speaks for itself because that's a really good average. And like in this clip here, she just hits the ball really well. And she had 29 RBIs. She was first team all-conference, first team all-districts, and overall she's just a really amazing player. And she's only a junior, so they have another year left with her to make her even better. And then my second athlete is the obvious choice, sophomore River Peppers. He had 1,634 yards as a running back. He had 251 carries, 21 touchdowns, and for some of those touchdowns, 7 of them were receiving, and then he had 480 receiving yards. He got first team all-conference, first team all-district, second team all-state. He's just an amazing running back. And he had plenty of like 60-plus touchdown yard runs like this one here. I mean, he just runs as fast as he can. And one of my friends told me that he actually thinks about his mom whenever he runs, so I thought that was really special. But that's all for our players of our season. We'll see you guys with our next episode. Thanks for watching.